I'm always fascinated by how people find me and they offer me, products to review. I'm not saying I'm getting a huge amount, but there is always something odd which I don't think it actually, fits my YouTube channel, although I do an awful lot of stuff on this YouTube channel, so I guess pretty much everything is going to fit. And this time this is a Bluetooth speaker. And I thought, well, it can really be useful for anyone, but I think I've done a lot of videos which I thought is not going to be really useful for anyone. I've reviewed so many, small gadgets from IC stations. Actually, there was an amplifier board and there was a Bluetooth amplifier board as well, but sometimes like these relay modules, and they tend to get a lot of views, maybe because nobody else is doing those type of reviews. So anyway, I thought, let me just review this. Even though I'm not really an audio person, I don't actually listen to an awful lot of music. I do listen to podcasts quite a lot. So I would be able to use this speaker, and I do have some other speakers at home as well. So I would be able to do some comparison as well. But let's do the review of this Tronsmart Force 2 Bluetooth speaker. And this was supplied to be my Geek buying. So if you're interested in that, there's going to be a link in the video description, and there is also going to be some coupon code if you decide to purchase this device. And actually I also made some beauty shots with this speaker out in the garden, and also when I was doing some walk with the kids. And so you can watch that as I go through the specs. This speaker is called the Tronsmart Force 2, and well, this is a Bluetooth speaker, so it connects your phone or any other devices, and it uses Bluetooth 5.0, and it supports a couple of Bluetooth profiles that I'm going to leave on the screen because I don't know too much about these, to be honest. For the things that I used, it was working fine, so I'm not sure how the codecs and some of the other things vary. It supports Bluetooth transmission up to 10 meters in open area, and actually I'm going to test that in a couple of minutes. It has a 2500 milliamp hour battery, which the unit can charge using USB-C, and the charge takes about 3 hours, so I think that's fine. It is rated at 3 watts RMS, so that's the music power that it delivers. It has an IPX7 rating, so IPX7 rating is tested in 1 meter deep water for 30 minutes. But the documentation states that it's definitely splash proof, and probably if it's accidentally dropped into water, then it's going to survive. The battery inside would power the device for 15 hours at 50% volume, and of course that would vary based on what sort of music or speech or other audio that you are listening to. Besides the Bluetooth connectivity, the device also offers an aux-in, and as you can see the design, it's a long tubular shape with the buttons and then probably the battery compartment having an extra bulge on one side, which makes it easy to fit on flat surfaces, so it's not going to roll around, and of course you can also keep it on the side. But other than that, it looks like many of the the usual speakers from the bigger brand. Well, okay, I have some GBLs around. So you have 2 speakers here behind the grill. So the speakers, well, they are not really saying how big the speakers are, but based on the photos, it looks like it's a couple of centimeters smaller than the actual diameter of this ring. And also it has some passive vibrators on the side, so that's going to give you some extra boost. And let me bring you a little bit closer so you can see the dimensions. So this is the length of the device, and sort of that's the diameter, the longest dimension here. So you can see them in centimeters and inches as well. So that's what you get. So in comparison, I think this is roughly the same size as the JBL Flip, and I do have a JBL Charge 4. So it is slightly smaller, and also the diameter is slightly smaller, and of course I have the big Extreme, but well, of course that's a huge speaker. So I think I'm going to be comparing to this one, comparing the sound level. That's pretty much what I can do. I think there is not much use trying to show you how the audio sounds like over YouTube and my camera microphones. But I have to say that compared to the Charge 4, I would say that the sound quality is very, very similar. Also, the volume is very similar. So it definitely delivers a punch, and I think it also delivers a good balanced volume. And of course, the bass is not going to be as strong as anything which is bigger, I mean physically bigger. So that would definitely have bigger drivers. There is, more volume and more power in this particular GBL. So I'm not so fussed about that. But to be honest, the other reason I like this one, because as I said, I don't listen to music that much, but I listen to podcasts. But for podcasts, I think this has a more balanced sound, which means that it doesn't have a lot of bass, which, for speech, you don't really need bass. And for that, I think this is actually better, and it can definitely deliver the volume. And of course, it's smaller, so it's easier to carry around. And if you leave it like this, then it actually takes up very little space. So if I'm outside in a garage, in my workshop, that, it's quite convenient, to be honest. Okay, so let's look a little bit closer and go through around the controls. So on the front side, you have this mix of fabric and plastic grille with the logo in the middle. On the side, you have these passive drivers, I think it's called. And then you have this bulge on the other side where you see the lanyard and also see some controls. So we have 4 buttons here. The buttons is power, plus, minus, and the Bluetooth button. So the power is obviously power, and it's also used to wake up the voice assistant. And then you have the volume buttons, which are obviously volume, but they also serve as, phone pickup buttons and also skip buttons. And you have the Bluetooth, which turns on the pairing, but also acts as a play and pause button. And on the other side, there is a compartment, which is protected by this plastic flip. And you have an aux in, and you also have a USB-C for charging. So you can use the USB to charge the device. This device will not charge any other devices. Also, what is not apparent from these buttons, that just like many other speakers, this can be used as a standalone speaker, but actually you would be able to link, they say, up to 100 of these speakers in a broadcast mode. So that could be quite interesting, having so many of these speakers, and they would be all playing the same sound. So in a larger area, I think that could be actually quite useful. Of course, I only have 1 unit, so I'm not going to be testing that. I'm not going to be talking about it. Next, let me talk about the performance. So as I said, I was comparing it mainly with the Charge 4, and as I said, I'm quite happy with the quality of the sound that it reproduces, and also the volume itself. So it definitely has the power, and it sounds good. Probably what I would say is that if you are trying to crank it all the way up, maybe the sound is not getting so clear. So as we are going to see in the documentation, there is some, sound processing functionality built in, which is probably going to make sure that even on full volume, the sound is not going to be distorted. So that might play around a little bit with your audio, just to make sure that it is getting through the speakers as clearly as possibly can. But on normal volume, which I think it's good enough for an average size room, it has no issues reproducing a decent sound. When I was testing this device, I was using my rather old Samsung Galaxy S7, which doesn't have Bluetooth 5.0, so it has Bluetooth 4.2, I think. And I was using, some main applications, so a built-in music player, I was using Spotify, and I was also using Google Podcast. I had no issues with any of these, so all the sound formats and everything was supported. I also used it as a speakerphone, so I was calling my wife, and she said that the sound quality was okay. She was hearing herself as an echo, but my sound was fine. So, the built-in speaker and everything works, and, I had a good sound reproduction over a phone call as well. I've also tested the Bluetooth range, and as you can see, I left the phone on my desk and I was moving away with this speaker, and I was definitely going at least 10 meters away, and the audio was still not cutting out. And then I decided, okay, let me move into a room so I don't have direct sight with my phone. And while the audio was still playing, so I just left and gone out to my garage. And really at the far end of the garage, which is probably about like 20 meters from the phone, it started to cut out. And I have to mention that I was using my old Samsung phone, which only has Bluetooth 4.2, I think, and this one has 5. So with the newer phone, I think this performance is going to be even better. So I have no issues with the Bluetooth range at all. Next, I also wanted to do a comparison, which I think is easy to test. So I had the phone on my desk. So I had the speaker on the table, and I had the camera probably about 2 meters away, as you can see it, and I was testing the audio output, and I was just using an app on my phone to monitor the loudness of the speaker. And I did the same test for the JBL as well, and I also did the same one for the Tronsmart. And as you can see, I think the audio was pretty much the same. I mean, the audio level, it was peaking into 80 decibels, which is, I think it's pretty loud anyway. It's, you know, for a closed space. Of course, if you are out in the garden, you would have less reflection of the sounds, so that would be a little bit weaker, but I think 80 decibel is, you know, it's quite a lot, to be honest. When it comes to charging, well, I already mentioned that it has a USB-C port. Well, it's nice that they are using USB-C. Well, I think that should be the, you know, the standard for any newer devices and not micro USB anymore. It uses standard charging, so there is no, you know, quick charge or QC3. So if I plug it into any QC3 charger, it just draws 5 volts and 1.5 amps. But the battery inside is not awfully huge. So even with that, you know, sort of regular fast charging, it takes about 3 hours. So I don't think there is a need to go any faster than that. Okay, so let's see how it looks like using this device. So as I said, it has 4 buttons, and you have the power button, and if you just click it short, then nothing really happens. You have to keep it pressed for 3 seconds in order to turn the device on. By the way, these buttons are quite stiff, so if you want to operate them, well, if the speaker is lying like this, you have to hold it down and then press it, otherwise it's just going to move around. So what I usually do is I hold it like that or pick it up and I press the button on the back. You can easily reach on the other side, and if you turn it on.
Power on.
Speaker mode. Your phone is connected.
You are getting these audio greetings, which I don't really like, and unfortunately there is no way to turn them off. So you are getting a greeting that it has turned on and it's in speaker mode, as opposed to the broadcast mode that I was talking about earlier, and then the phone is connected. And when you turn it off, you get another audio alert that it is turning off. And also it feels like that these announcements are louder than the actual music that you are listening to. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked the chime much better. Of course, when you do it for the first time, you would also long press on the Bluetooth to get into pairing mode, and then you just pair it with your device. There's nothing special about that. There is a Tronsmart app. As it turns out, that app is for the other Tronsmart products. So there are some, you know, earbuds which has touch sensors and additional controls, and they are using the app. But this, you know, this is just a standalone speaker. There is no app, there is no EQ control, there is, you know, no settings. You just turn it on, you connect to your Bluetooth, and you're ready to go. Nothing really fancy. It's not going to collect your data, and it just works. And let me start something on my phone, and yeah. So you are getting these audio alerts, these beeping sounds when you reach the max volume. And of course you can control the volume from here, and you can control it from your phone. And as I said, the Bluetooth button is used as a play pause. So if I press it here, audio will start. Okay, I'm not going to make it any louder, but I guess you get the idea. The one thing I noticed is most probably in order to save battery, it actually turns the amplifier on and off. So if you are not playing any audio, then maybe after a second, it's going to turn off the amp. And then when you, for example, you wake up your phone, then it's going to turn on the amp. The only reason I noticed this because there is a very faint pop coming from the audio. I mean, it is noticeable if you are in the quiet room, but it's not something that I have any issues with. It was just more like interesting just to learn how the device works. Okay, so let me walk through the controls. So we have the 4 buttons here, and as I said, the power button is used to turn the device on and off. Well, unsurprisingly, press and hold for 3 seconds to turn the device on or turn the device off. And if you press the power button twice, then it's going to wake up the voice assistant. And because it's Bluetooth and it needs to connect to the phone, you double click it and then maybe like you wait for a second and then you say the wake word and then wait another second and then you ask and then it's going to respond. It is a little bit slower how you would, use your, for example, well, in my case, my Google Home. And of course, if your phone is unlocked, then, well, you don't have to use the button. You can just say the wake word because then your phone would be listening as it does when it's not connected to the Bluetooth speaker as well. So that's all about the power button. There is a trick with the voice assistant, well, probably a trick on some of the phones. So I have a Samsung Galaxy and with Samsungs, there is also a built-in Samsung voice assistant. So when I was trying it for the first time, it wasn't working because the phone didn't know whether I want to use the Samsung Assistant or I want to use Google Assistant. So if you are planning to use it for the first time, then unlock your phone and then double click on the Assistant button and then you would have a pop-up on your phone which is going to ask whether you want a Google Assistant or you want the Samsung Assistant. And that could be the case with other phone makers as well. But as you can see, once you select your preferred assistant, then it's going to work next time. Let me also talk about the Bluetooth button. So as I said, if you hold it for 3 seconds, then it goes into pairing mode. And if you click it once, then it's going to accept or hang up a call. So if you are receiving a call, you can pick up the call and then hang up using just a single press on the Bluetooth button. And if you are playing audio, then again, a single press on the Bluetooth button is going to pause and play the audio the way that we have seen this before. And then the volume button also has multiple functions. So if you just press it once, either the plus or the minus button, it's going to increase or decrease the volume. And if you keep it pressed for more than 2 seconds, that's going to skip the audio forward. So for example, next track or the previous track, if you are listening to either podcast or Spotify or any other audio source. And if you are receiving a call and you want to reject the call, you can also press the minus button once and that would reject the call. So you would pick it up with the Bluetooth button and reject it with the minus button. And actually there are a few other button combinations which is going to do hard reset and get into broadcast mode and pair with other broadcast devices. But honestly, it's all going to be explained in the documentation anyway. So I just wanted to cover the main features. And maybe finally, let me cover the unboxing as well. And obviously you are getting the device, so let me just put that out of the way. You are getting the unit in this box. It's a nice stylish box. It has a nice, this two-tone printing. It's actually quite nice. Within the box, you are getting a USB-C lead, so that's for charging. A fairly short one, but nevertheless, you're getting a lead. There is no charger, so you have to provide your own USB charger. But as I said, it's not using any particularly fast charging standards, so any USB charger is going to be good enough. You're also getting a small aux lead, so this is a 3.5mm jack. So you would be able to use this to connect, for example, an old iPod and then listen music from that. And also within the box, there is some padding material and some nicely printed covers, and you are also getting a small user manual. And it's a quite nice user manual. It doesn't talk a lot. It mostly has pictures and icons. So that's where it explains you how you can use the different buttons. And as I said, if you press these 2 buttons for 2 seconds, that's going to do your reset. And then if you do these buttons, this is how you can get into broadcast mode and link multiple devices together. And then once you're in the broadcast mode, you can, define which is your master speaker and the slaves and, get out of broadcast mode. And you also have a couple of different blinking LED light patterns just to indicate the device status. And that's the LED, which is right there, which is above the power button. So you are not getting any additional indication of the battery state. You are just getting a red light when it needs to be charged. And that's it. And of course, on the other side of the documentation, you see the specifications that I read in the beginning of this review. You also get a Tronsmart warranty card, so you just need to go online and put in your order details in order to register the product and get the warranty. And you also get these 2 leaflets which talks about this sound pulse technology and how they are processing the audio in order to make it sound a lot better. And that's it. You can read a little bit more about that if you pause the video. I'm not sure why I got 2, because I think they are exactly the same ones. But anyway, you are getting this information as well. And by the way, the manual and the warranty comes in this black pouch, which I discarded in the beginning because I thought it's just padding, but actually this is where it contains the documentation inside. Tronsmart has a range of different Bluetooth speakers and earphones. I'm not really sure if Force 2 is a newer model or an older model, but there are a couple of things on the box itself which maybe suggest that this is an older model. Let me just go through the main specs here so you can see the Qualcomm chip, which is responsible for all the audio reproduction, the fact that it can do broadcast mode, so use multiple speakers, and the IPX7 rating and the playback time. So this is all nice, but actually on the underside of the other box you are getting some details about the HD audio decoding, which is fine because this is part of the USB 5 standard, but you also have things like smart app control. So as I said, that doesn't apply to this Tronsmart product because, well, it's just a Bluetooth speaker. It doesn't have any extra functions. So that smart app control, that's not relevant. And the convenient voice assistant control is about the double press on the power button that I was also mentioning in the past. So this was my review of the Tronsmart Force 2 Bluetooth speaker. I'm actually quite happy that I received it. I'm definitely going to use it. Most probably not a lot for music, but to listen to podcasts when I'm out in the workshop and I'm working on various projects. If you are interested in this product, you are going to find purchasing links to Geek Buying in the video description, and you're also going to find a coupon code, so you would be able to buy this at a discounted price. But that would be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.